There's a bit of wildlife at Perth. I assume that's not running in the opener. I'm not sure exactly what it was. A monkjack, possibly. I'm not certain. Suggestions welcome. But nice scenes at Perth. And this is the opener at 2 o'clock, the first race on the last day of the Perth Festival here. Novices hurdle over 2 miles, of course, this one. And Mystique is 13-8, out from 11-8 here. Mystique pulled Townend for Gordon Elliott on this High Chaparral mare. Danielle's Journey is 5-2, and Money as well, going the other way. Falls into 7-2 Mardale. Ethelwyn is 5-1 from 9-2. It's 22-1 and bigger the rest. Mystique then here, Gordon, 13-8, relatively easy to back as well, countering Money for Danielle's Journey and nibbles about Mardale.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tom. There's just an area in front of the stands that we'll show you in just a second. I think they're just narrowing the area in front of the water jump. It's a little bit of soft ground there. You can see they're just bringing it in a little bit. So that's not going to affect this race, because obviously our first race of the day is over hurdles, and we've got a separate run-in. As you can see, they'll come to the right of that as we're looking, but they're just making sure that's railed out a little bit. So they're going to narrow that area coming in and going over, and the other side of the water jump, that's the stands. That's going to continue then. Let's focus on the runners for this race. There is Mardale going to post. I'll come to Mardale in just a moment, but Mystique, Dave, the Gordon Elliott runner, she's easy to back there, as we heard from Tom. He's only runner of the day. I was looking this morning, it's exactly a month. It's 31 days since Gordon had a winner at the jumping game. He's had quite a few runners in that period. He's a bit quiet.
And I think that probably explains the late drift. To be fair, she's been fairly solid as favourite all morning, but now punters deciding that Danielle's Choice is much stronger. But you can see you've just pointed out the argument against Gordon Elliott. So she's on her best form. She's got the best form, I think, in this race. Pulled up last time, but that was a grade 1. Do you go with a short price? To me, when you're backing short price horses, you do want to have everything in your favour.
You do.
And you've got to be a little bit concerned about the form of Gordon's horses. So that, to me, explains the drift.
Don't know if you're looking at the stable form or the form of the horse, and you'd still need to forgive her a moderate run, albeit in a grade 1 at Fairyhouse last time. But before that, her form was reasonable. That second at Limerick, but Gordon Elliott normally at Perth, he's mustard.
Yeah, hasn't had a winner yet, although not had many runners, has he, this year, as it happens. But it'd be certainly very unlike him to leave here without a winner. But yeah, I think back to Mystique, and I think if you can forgive a horse a bad run, Gordon, it would be when it's in a grade 1 and stepping up perhaps out of her comfort zone in that race at Fairyhouse. She had a string of pretty solid efforts prior to that, didn't she? Obviously winning and then finishing placed in a grade 3 event. Conditions perhaps a bit quicker than she's faced previously. That's another possible question mark. Admittedly, the way she sort of travels through her races, she doesn't exactly look like a sluggard or anything, but all her form today, all her racing today really has come on sort of soft, heavy ground. So that's another perhaps light question that she has to answer.
The second favourite, Danielle's Journey, she's got reasonable form. I mean, she was well beat at Cheltenham in a hot race, but before that she won at Ayr. But heavy ground, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, that's it again. And presumably they were just there for the owner's badges at Cheltenham. She had no realistic chance against the likes of Limini, and never figured at all. But before that, she'd won at Ayr in bottomless ground that only Ayr seems to get. So I don't think it's any bearing on how she's going to perform in this race. And also took a few times to have a win, despite a few creditable races along the way. So she's nothing outstanding. But the fact that this Mystique is so weak now, she's the one that punters seems to have latched onto, and yeah, maybe to me, but I think they might be overlooking a little bit. They're not giving Mardale and Ethelwyn, who were very closely matched on Haydock running, perhaps punters aren't giving those two the respect that they might deserve. They too come from two stables who struck at this meeting and are in form as well. Well, Malcolm Jefferson definitely in form. Nicky Richards' stable seems to be coming back into a bit of form.
And you've been talking up the lad that rides this Mardale all week, haven't you?
Well, I've liked him all year, and I think Nicky Richards is using him well on some of his staying handicappers. He looks a promising kid, Brian Day. I think he'll go places. And although Mardale or Ethelwyn is weighted to get the better of Mardale on pure pounds and lengths on that Haydock running, that £5 claim is going to make a bit of a difference.
Mardale, she's won a couple of races this season. A couple of tougher opponents today, maybe.
Yeah, I would say so. Made a bit of a meal of it, landing short odds at Sedgefield last time. But, you know, as Dave says, she's got a pretty solid record in general. You've got Ryan Day offsetting quite a lot of one of those penalties anyway. So she's definitely perhaps more of a player than the market might suggest. And Ethelwyn, again, interesting. Liked her in the paddock. I thought she looked really well. I guess you'd expect the way the Jefferson team's going. But that was a comeback effort for her. She'd been off for quite a while. She had actually gone close looked like she was going to go close until falling over this course and distance back in the autumn, and everything about that run at Haydock where she just kept on from off the pace without Brian Hughes being unduly hard, and it would make you think that she might step forward on her next outing. If she can do, then obviously you'd expect her to get fairly close to Mardale on this occasion.
Looks as if our starter Jason Callaghan is walking towards the rostrum. We're about a couple of minutes late. I think they've railed off and finished that narrowing of the water jump area.
It went out to 7-4, this Mystique. On balance, its form, I think, is considerably better than these. It's just got a bad run last time out under stable form, but punters now thinking maybe it's gone too far and into 6-4, which on its overall profile, I don't. Well, yeah, on its best form, on her best form, it's an absolute bargain price. But you've just got to be wary.
Okay, starters on his rostrum then. First race of the final day of the Perth Festival. Let's go back up to Gareth Topham.
Yeah, hello Gordon, hello everybody, welcome along. Another wonderful afternoon here in store at Perth. Not as cool as was predicted, and the sun's out as well, and a huge crowd here for the third day. Let's see how they get on in our first race. They're coming in. So we're set to go for race one. The runners are steadily coming forward. And they're off and racing for the Krabby's Alcoholic Ginger Beer Mares National Hunt Novices Hurdle. And early on, it is the favourite Mystique who sets off in the lead. Shows up by a couple of lengths over Mardale and Danielle's Journey as they're on the approach to flight number one. Mystique needed a little bit of encouragement to get from A to B safely, but has done so, and shows by around about 2.5 lengths over Mardale in second. Back in third is Danielle's Journey, with racing in fourth Ethelwyn, as the leading quartet covered at the moment by around about 6 or 7 lengths. Swing on in ahead of Supreme Gale in the yellow jacket over to the inside. Then Sweet Holly, and at the back end of the field are Cupid's Quest and Miss Blanche, as they are now in line for the 2 flights of hurdles in the home straight, with Mystique for trainer Gordon Elliott. Paul Townend on board this mare, who's down in grey today, and she gets out over the second flight in a really good style. We're through along the inside Mardale, a winner at Sedgefield last time out, with Danielle's Journey not too far away. Then a little wider out is Ethelwyn, chased through by Supreme Gale, who races with Sweet Holly, and then at the back of Cupid's Quest and Miss Blanche. Up and over the next one, that was the third flight. It'll be their last next time, and they head on down the packed Perth enclosures with a circuit left to go in this Krabby's Alcoholic Ginger Beer Mares National Hunt Novices Hurdle. It is Mystique who shows in front by around about a length. Second place is Mardale on the run away from the enclosures, with back in third Ethelwyn. Danielle's Journey still rounding out the leading quartet. They're about 3 lengths further on from Sweet Holly. Then Supreme Gale from Miss Blanche, and Cupid's Quest, the big outsider. She's observing all from the tail end of the field. The field at this stage covered by around about 12 lengths as Mystique makes her journey on towards flight number 4. She'll have the lead at it, Mystique, over it safely enough. Second place on the outside is Ethelwyn, with back in third over to the inside Mardale. Danielle's Journey is racing in fourth, with Sweet Holly now just closing up a little bit in the grey sleeves. A couple of lengths back then to Miss Blanche, Supreme Gale and Cupid's Quest. They've passed the halfway stage now. They head down the back and on towards flight number 5, with still Mystique showing out in the lead here by around about a length and a quarter. She's not really been pestered for the lead thus far, but that could just be about to change. Mardale over to the inside of Ethelwyn. Ethelwyn now closing right up, gets to within around about a half length of Mystique, with back in behind those Danielle's Journey. Then Sweet Holly towards the outer, and still in rear the last trio, Supreme Gale up along the inside of Miss Blanche and Cupid's Quest. But very much all to play for as they're now on the approach to the third flight from home, just over a half mile from the judge. It was Mystique who had the advantage. Mystique by around about 3 parts of a length to Mardale, and then on the outside Ethelwyn as they make the right-handed journey back for home. Mardale just a little cut off there towards the inside as Mystique begins to up the tempo, racing back towards home in the first. It is Mystique in front, as she has been throughout, to Ethelwyn, Mardale, with Sweet Holly back in behind those. Danielle's Journey has just lost her pitch a bit as they now work their way on towards the second last flight of hurdles. Mystique in the pink jacket is being pressed on the outside by Ethelwyn. Away to the extreme right is Sweet Holly. A mistake there by Ethelwyn, whose rider Jamie Hamilton has lost his irons. Mardale away to the left is quickening up well also. And then Danielle's Journey race on now as they head towards the final flight. Mardale in the black and white over to the inside of Mystique. Nearer to us is Sweet Holly. It was Mardale who landed in front at the final hurdle to in second place at Mystique. Then to the near side is Sweet Holly, who's still banged there. A few lengths back to Danielle's Journey. Mardale is showing in front. Mystique is trying hard to fight back and is doing so, but Mardale will just do enough. Mardale held on to win the first from Mystique. Nearer to us, Sweet Holly, chased through by Danielle's Journey, and those 4 were clear.
Well, a third win of the season for Mardale, the mare trained by Nicky Richards, a valuable allowance there by Ryan Day, and it counted for everything in the end. Mystique in second place, and over the last it's Mardale that leads, and she just hangs on from the rallying favourite, Andrew.
Yeah, stuck to a task, Mystique, hasn't it, in fairness, but as we can see now, Gordy just approaching the line. Mardale was always clinging on under Ryan Day, wasn't she, as Dave pointed out, with on good value for his £5, offset that one of those penalties anyway, and she's nabbed a third win of a most productive season.
We'll pick up the mid-race replay, Dave, and as they come to the second last, what a brilliant recovery at the second last from Jamie Hamilton on Ethelwyn.
I think there might have been another mistake at the last as well. A jumping went to pieces, and she's fallen before, so it's obviously an issue with her, but she's got the form, and she was more or less matching Mardale. They were very closely matched on the Haydock run, but then
uses an iron.
Yeah, no. They need to iron something out there. That's for certain. Mystique a little bit strange to me because it had a considerable advantage at the start and then seemed to sort of almost give it up unnecessarily, and maybe that's told. But look, she hasn't produced exactly her best form today, so there's clearly an issue with the Gordon Elliott horses at the moment. They're not running brilliantly. Sweet Holly's handicap mark's been blown to pieces now after this excellent run here. I mean, maybe she's a progressive mare want to be with, but they've only got until next Thursday or Friday to win a race now, and I don't know whether there's a meeting or anywhere she can go quick, but she must go up considerably in a handicap mark for picking up next to nothing in prize money here. So look, it's a good performance by Mardale. I must admit, I was having a drink with Nicky Richards after racing on Wednesday, and he told me that this would win. Have I backed it? Have I hecked? But I did think that both her and Ethelwyn were ignored a little bit too much in the betting.
Quick summary from you, Andrew.
Yeah, I think what Dave was saying was right. They certainly had the reasonable form themselves. In fact, just looking at Ethelwyn there, those last 2 flights, in fairness to her, there were more kind of stumbles after the jumps, weren't they? She actually took them okay, so that jumping perhaps isn't quite as much an issue going forward with her, and she could be quite a promising mare. As I say, she really looked the part beforehand, and then what handicap mark she was on after that Haydock run, but be it in a novice or perhaps in a handicap, she can certainly. I think she's probably of a similar standard by the looks of it to Mardale. The way she travelled through that race, you could see her having a bit more to offer in the coming weeks if they keep her on the go.
Second winner of the week then, Tom, here at Perth for Nicky Richards. Mardale, what price was she in the end?
4-1, Gordon. 4-1 was Mardale, fending off the rallying Mystique 11-8 favourites. Well done to Ryan Day and Nicky Richards, who combined with Mardale. Sweet Holly was third, 22-1. Just a neck between them.